And we're back with another episode of Successful Marketing, Sales, and Relationships for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we help you build a more beautiful, wonderful business that allows you to have an even more beautiful, wonderful life. I am your host, best-selling author Sadon Long, and today we are talking about pricing. Now, one of the things that people never ever educated me about when I first started a business, which became a real huge problem, was pricing. You know, because typically what tends to happen when we get out here and we first start trying to sell something or promote something, people say it costs too much. And immediately when people tell us we cost too much, we start thinking how we can lower the price, how we can be cheaper. But when you lower your price, you lower your profits. If you lower your profits, then you lower your chances of being a successful business owner. You lower your chances of actually being able to put away money in a retirement fund, being able to attract quality employees, being able to take vacations, and being able to do the things necessary to make being a business owner worth it. And then something like COVID happens, and because your profit margins are so low that if you ever have any kind of lull in sales, now you're in jeopardy of going out of business. Or if you have a boom in sales, now you're working hard for not much money. So today we're going to talk about pricing. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about when we talk about pricing and what proper pricing looks like is what pricing really looks like. And when I say what it really looks like, I mean what it looks like to the customer. So, number one, what do you do when you and your competitor have the same price? What does that mean? Okay, that means that for them to use you over the competition, over a person they've already been using, you're going to have to give them more for the same money. Let me repeat that. In order for you to take a customer from somebody you have the same price as, you're going to have to give them more for the money. So if one person says 24 hours, then you got to say 12. You know, if they don't deliver, then you have to deliver. If they give you 8, you got to give them 10. Okay? Because now, what is the motivation for somebody to leave someone they already trust and then do business with you? Now I know the premise and the belief is that, you know, these are my A1 day ones, these are my kinfolk. But the reality is, as we talked about yesterday, you really don't have as many friends as you think. And even amongst the friends that you quote unquote think you have, you are still competing against their wants, needs, and desires. So if it's the same price and they have another group of wants, needs, and desires that they're still trying to fulfill, even if you're cool with them, it's going to be very hard for you to convert them to a customer. So if I have the same price as my competition, now I have to give them more, which in turn may put you in a position where it's just not worth it. You know, because now you might be putting so much in your offer that it isn't cost effective. You might be putting so much in your offer that it now takes a lot more time to deliver. So again, if the price is the same, you got to give them more. Now, what I do with clients is we don't necessarily give them stuff that takes more effort from us. You know, we might give them some VIP access. You know, we might give them an ebook. Now you're like, well, why would people want VIP access and why would people want ebooks? Well, VIP access might get you in the store at 8:30 when we don't open till 10. You know, VIP access might get you access to the sale sooner than everybody else. You know, VIP might get you access to the sale longer than everybody else. Now the window might close for everybody else at 5 o'clock on Sunday, but my VIP customers get this same sale all the way till Tuesday. So I didn't necessarily add any work, I just gave them some benefits that didn't cost me any time or money. Okay. Now you're like, well, why would I want to give them an ebook? You know, again, if I can't give you money or give you time, I can now make whatever it is that I offer go easier, faster, and more simpler for you. You know, for example, if you do landscaping, I might not be able to be faster than the other guy, but what I can do is give you some strategies and some tips on how to get rid of dandelions. You know, what I can do is give you some strategies and tips on what are the best flowers to plant, and when to plant them and how to plant them. You know, what I can do is send you a newsletter every month telling you what's on sale at the Menards that you can then use to beautify your yard. Because again, the ultimate outcome of using the landscaper is for you to have this beautiful, wonderful yard. Now, they might pay for you to come out and cut the grass, they might pay for you to do the edging, but the day to day maintenance of adding flowers and things of that nature, they might want to do themselves. You know, might want to send them over something that says how therapeutic planting flowers really is. Again, you're going to have to take this customer because there's no incentive to move to you if there's not a good reason for them to move. Again, yesterday we talked about mission. You know, sometimes people will simply move over to you because the cause that you're serving is better than the other person. You know, I see this a lot of times with organizations that donate to battered women or donate to kids aging out of the foster system or donate to homeless or seniors, who donate to single moms. You know, they're able to generate more business just simply because people feel better about doing business with them. So even if the price is the same, now because you're more mission driven than the other guy, you'll see a spike in sales. I saw it happen with Family Life Center. People started realizing that some of that money was actually going to go to the homeless when they bought Pay What You Could breakfast, and it started taking customers from other businesses. Not because the other businesses were doing anything wrong, but simply people wanted to support that cause. So with that being said, again, if the price is the same, you got to give them more to make them your customer versus somebody else's. Same thing goes where if your price is more. Okay. So now if it's more, there's two customers that you could get. Either you could get a customer who's never used the services before, or you could get a customer who's unhappy with their current service. Now, customers who are unhappy with their current service, they still need to see the value in going up in price. You know, so again, you still got that same, I got to give them more. You know, same thing goes with new customers. I still got to give them more. Now with the new customers, there might be a little wiggle room because maybe they're not aware of the cheaper option. A lot of times you'll see people hire marketing people who are not very good because they've never hired marketing people before. So what they'll end up doing is they'll end up paying lots of money because they were inexperienced in the industry and didn't get their money's worth just simply because they didn't know who to hire. Now, that's not your fault. You know, that is the job of the person. And when you're in that seat and you're hiring, to ask good questions. But again, if you cost more, you have to then figure out what the other company isn't doing and say, we don't do that. You know, these are the complaints that people are having about people in our industry. We stand on business. Right now I've been working with a client and we've been talking about pricing and we talk about risk. Because really what you're trying to do when you set a price is get people comfortable enough with the money that they're about to give you to give it to you. So if you cost more, maybe you offer 30-day money back guarantee. If you cost more, maybe you offer no questions asked, free return. You know, because now the person says, yeah, they cost a little bit more, but I'm really not losing anything if I don't like it. You know, because they're going to send me something to send it back in. You know, and they're going to give me 30 days to do it. You know, see all of these price adjustments that the big boxes do. It's just simply to make people more comfortable doing business with them than doing business with mom and pop. And mathematically, the amount of people who return is probably about 4 to 10%. But the ability to get another 100 customers more than offsets that. So if I got 100 more customers, but four of them returned it, even if 10 returned it, it's still a net of 90. So it's a net of 90 more customers. So again, when you start talking about I cost more, you got to show them things that make you better than the competition. You know, you have to solve problems that the competition hasn't solved. So that now the person has to give you the money because they can't get the result that they want somewhere else. You know, so again, pay attention to your competition because your competition is trying to take money out of your mouth. Your competition is trying to put you out of business. Your competition is trying to take market share. Now you might say my competition not doing that. Well, they might not be doing it on purpose, you know, but they do absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they want to have more customers than you at the end of the day. It's capitalism. People want to be number one. People want to have the nice car. People want to have the nice life. And in order to have the nice car, nice life, you need sales. You know, in order to put money in that 401k, you need sales. In order to put money in that Roth account, you need sales. So if you're competing for the exact same customer, you got to give them more. You know, look at the burger wars. You know, one company comes out with the combo meal, comes out with the dollar menu. What do the other ones do? They come out with the value meal. They come out with the the dollar menu. Okay, so now we keeping up, but then you look at one company and they say, okay, well, we'll throw in a cookie. You know, that cookie might have been the tipping point from going to McDonald's or KFC. You know, McDonald's says we'll create the Happy Meal and throw in a toy. You know, because they were competing for the same customers. Wendy says we'll throw in a Frosty. You know, McDonald's comes back and says, well, free upsizes on sodas. Then Burger King comes back and says limitless soda if you eat in the restaurant. You know, so it's all designed to pull in customers. You know, so if the price is about the same, you got to give them more. But like I said before, you want to give them things that don't cost you a lot to give them. You know, so even if the price is the same, it's almost like we're even. Okay. So now, what if you're cheaper? Okay. If you're cheaper, you definitely got to give them more. Now, the reason you have to give them more when you're cheaper is because they don't trust you. Now, here's the funny thing about that. You would think that if I cost less money, that people would trust me more, but in actuality, it works the exact opposite. Okay. When you cost less, people want to know why you cost less. Now they're asking more questions. Now they're more nervous. You know, because the saying is you get what you pay for. So if you cost less, now you have to convince me that even though you cost less, you're going to be as good as the other guy. I mean, let's think about it. When you see somebody riding by and some of these SUVs that are very good SUVs, you know, like the Telluride or some of the Buick SUVs, do you really look at them in the same vein as you see somebody riding by in a Range Rover? Okay. So now it becomes okay, if they cost the same price, can I really believe that the Range Rover isn't better than the Telluride? And I'm not saying this to hate on the Telluride because I actually like that car. But it becomes a I don't really know. I'm not really sure. I got questions kind of dilemma. So if you're charging significantly more or even a little bit more, you actually put yourself in a better position than if you're charging less. Because less is going to now put you in a position where people ask a whole bunch of questions. You know, it's weird. People think they're going to get less. People think it's going to be less effective. People think, that it's defective because it's cheaper. So now they walk into it expecting it to break down, expecting it to be insufficient in regard to solving their problem. Had a client one time. Interesting story. So had a client one time, and we were playing around with the idea of lowering the price. Of course, I was against it, but hey, sometimes you got to test stuff just to see if it works. So what you do when you test stuff is you run, maybe 90 days, 60 days of whatever this special is that you want, and then you go back and you look at the information that you got. Okay. So now what we figured out is when we lowered the price, we weren't getting our customers. We were getting customers who wanted the high price thing but couldn't afford it. We were getting customers who really didn't have the money, so they stressed us out because now the price had gotten close enough to where they could afford it, to where they bought it, but they really couldn't afford it. But because it was so cheap, they did it. Now, what you do not want is to attract customers who really aren't your customers, who really needed to work really bad, i.e., desperate customers. So if you dip your price into the we attract desperate customer range, problems. Because those are people who've never used the product before. Those are people who have no experience in the industry. And because you're cheap, this is their shot. And when they take their shot, they expect it to work just like the one that costs 5 times as much. So when you drop your price to that special low, now you get a person who's never done this before, and they call you every day, and they look at every little thing, and they go through every little thing, and they just make it not worth the money. You got people who couldn't afford a pair. Now they got them. 5 days later, they're back. Ooh, these are chipping. Ooh, these are wrinkling. Ooh, girl, I saw a thread. And you're like, you only paid. You know, but when those situations arise, you get customers who really aren't your customers. You get people who don't think enough of what it is that you do to be respectful of you, to treat you like they would treat the person if they spent more money. They know they can't walk into these other places and act a fool because these are first class places. But with you, because you were so cheap, they think they could take you to task. Let me give you an example. Have you ever seen people fighting in Ruth Chris? Have you ever seen people fighting in Prime 112? No. Do you see people fighting in 4-star, 5-star hotels? No, because they don't attract those kinds of customers. But yet you see people fighting in fast food restaurants all the time. You see shootouts at motels all the time. So what happens if a person who's normally going to fast food, who's normally going to motels, all of a sudden gets a Groupon or gets a super duper deal to come to a nicer establishment? They bring all that foolishness with them. They bring the same mentality that makes them yell and cuss out cashiers to your establishment, which is why when you go on TikTok or you go on Instagram or you go on any of these other platforms, you see people in these restaurants clowning over the bill. You see them clowning over the service. You see them clowning because it's a la carte and embarrassing the people and embarrassing themselves and bringing nothing but embarrassment onto the restaurant and the restaurant owner as well as its patrons. So you really want to put yourself in a position to price yourself away from that. You know, because what will happen is now you'll see people fighting in the lobby of the hotel. And that'll get your real customers riled up enough to check out and never come back. So don't be cheaper because cheaper is just going to bring you people that you don't want, bring you problems that you don't want. You know, again, when we went cheaper, it cut our sales because now we had to work twice as hard to get the same amount of money. Number two, it brought us a whole bunch of desperate customers who needed us to hit home runs for them, when in reality, they probably should have waited till they could have afforded it. They could have waited till they did more research. They probably should have taken somebody else's program or done business with somebody else who was better equipped to deal with that foolishness. Because we weren't, because that wasn't what we were used to. So now we had to go and have these 30-minute phone calls and customer complaints and give people back money because what we were offering really wasn't for them. But because it was cheap, they got on board. So, as the saying goes, all money ain't good money. So, again, when you start thinking about these things, here's how you got to look at it. Okay, if I'm going to be cheaper, okay, what is that going to open me up to? And is it good to be cheap? How does that affect my brand? You know, do I want to be known as the cheapest or the best? Do I want to be known as the leader or the lowest? You know, because nobody on the top tier is the cheapest. Bentley's not cheap. Rolex not cheap. You know, your favorite deodorant or soap isn't cheap, and it's never found in cheap places. You know, when was the last time you saw a pay what you can, pay as you go car lot with a Bentley on it? You don't see Benzes or BMWs or any of these other major brands on lots that say we finance here. And if you did, you wonder what was wrong with it. Same thing with your business. So if you keep showing up in places that you shouldn't be in, it is going to significantly affect your ability to do business with your real customers. So now here's what you need to do. Again, you need to go back, look at your competition, look at the needs and desires of your customer, and figure out how to better communicate what you offer. Okay. So again, if they're offering the same thing you're offering now, you have to improve your process so that it's easier, faster, simpler, with less stress. Okay. Number two, you have to reduce risk. So offer them return policies that are more friendly. Stand behind your work so that you can then build trust. Number four, you have to, number three, I'm sorry, not four. Number four, give them special benefits. You know, give them more of the things that don't cost you as much. So when you give them more of the things that don't cost you as much, now you're giving them something that's valuable. It's just not costing you a whole lot in delivery. Because the harder it is to deliver, the less the money means to you. Because now, yeah, it was hard for me to deliver, which means it cost me time and money I could have been doing something else. It cost me man hours that I could have been devoting to something else. So now, even if I'm making money, makes making money harder. So again, when it comes to price, if we're the same, then you got to give them more. But you do not necessarily have to give them more of something that's going to cost you. That is it, hands down. So again, we're probably about, I think a little over a week. Let me look at my my phone real quick. Okay, we are on the 15th, so we're 10 days away from Christmas. So these are the last days, man. You got to tighten up and run right. You got to make sure that your people on point. You got to make sure that everybody knows where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. You know, I need to see more lives. I need to see more um, posts. I need to see more people engaging with their customer base. You know, you need to make sure your people are following up with everybody today and making sure that they know that you have these quick and easy grab and go gifts for all of these people at their jobs that they got into these grab bags with. Again, if you can deliver and you can batch and bundle what you deliver, do that. Because what you're selling at the end of the day right now for people who are in a hurry and who are busy and who have a whole lot going on between decorating and getting groceries and planning trips is convenience. So you got to get on top of that convenience game so that you can keep customers and not lose customers to somebody who's more convenient. So again, we're about 10 days out. So this is where you really got to push. So get out early today and get on top of your game. And when I say get out, I mean get out ahead of everybody else. Because if you get there first, it might not be, you might take it all. And when the second person comes along, it's all gone. So you might be able to, strike a blow against your competition, set yourself up for success by simply being first. That simple, that easy. But as always, man, this your business big bro, Sadon Long, aka the most dangerous man in marketing. And this has been another episode of Successful Marketing, Sales, and Relationships with Small Business Owners and Entrepreneurs. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comments and or DM me. But what I would really prefer is if you went to grownandrich.com and click the Make Money Fast button. And they're going to send me an email. I am going to then send you one in return, and we're going to sit down and have a conversation about your business, your goals, your success, and anything that you get from that call that you could then use to make money, which is not uncommon, you get to use. And the call is free. So have a great day. It has been an honor as always. I love you, and I'm out. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.